On February 25, 1957, the quiet woods of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, held a dark and sad secret. It was an ordinary day, cold, silent, nothing unusual. But what was about to be discovered would shock the entire nation. In these woods, along a small dirt road, a simple cardboard box lay abandoned. It was the kind of box you would see thrown away on garbage day. No one paid attention to it at first, it seemed useless like trash. But curiosity made someone take a closer look. When the box was carefully opened, what was found inside was terrifying. It was not old clothes. It was not broken things. Inside the box was the small, fragile body of a little boy. A child, no older than 4 to 6 years. He had no clothes on his body. His tiny frame was thin, weak, and badly bruised. His face looked pale and lifeless, as if all the happiness in life had been stolen from him long ago. His hair had been roughly cut, chopped off in a hurry, uneven and strange, almost as if someone tried to change the way he looked. There was no sign of who he was. No ID. No birth certificate. No note. The police were called immediately. When they arrived and saw the scene, they were confused and horrified. Who was this little boy? Why was he out here, alone in the cold, stuffed inside a box like garbage? The police checked every missing child report in the city, in the state, even in other states. But nothing matched. No family had reported a child like him missing. No neighbor had said a child from their street had disappeared. It was like this boy had appeared from nowhere. As if he never existed. Because of this mystery, the public started calling him the boy in the box. Later, he would also be known as America's unknown child. For over 60 years, this sad and painful story stayed unsolved. No one could explain who this boy really was. No one knew how he ended up in that box. And most heartbreaking of all, no one ever came to claim him. Why? Why did no one miss him? Why did no family search for him? Was he abandoned? Was he hidden on purpose? These are the questions that have haunted police officers, journalists, and ordinary people for decades. And this is why the mystery of the boy in the box is one of America's most tragic and unforgettable unsolved cases. It was a cold and quiet February day in 1957 when the first person came close to the hidden secret in the woods. A young man, who liked to set muskrat traps in that area, was walking through the trees. His eyes caught something strange lying among the bushes, a large cardboard box, looking out of place in the middle of nature. At first, he ignored it, thinking it was just thrown away garbage. But curiosity pulled him closer. Carefully, he lifted the top of the box, and what he saw made his heart stop. Inside the box was the small, lifeless body of a little boy. The man panicked. Shocked and afraid, he quickly put the box back, left the area without telling anyone, and kept this horrible discovery to himself. Maybe he was scared of getting involved. Maybe he thought the police would blame him. No one knows why he stayed silent. Days later, another person, this time a student, happened to be passing through the same area. He also noticed the box lying oddly in the bushes. When he looked inside and saw the small body of the boy, he was shocked. But unlike the first man, this student ran to call the police immediately. When the police arrived, they carefully studied the whole scene. The boy was estimated to be between 4 to 6 years old. His body was painfully thin, as if he had not been fed properly for a very long time. His skin was pale and cold. His face and body were covered with bruises, marks of violence and suffering. One strange detail stood out. The boy's hair had been cut very badly, uneven and rough, like someone had hurriedly chopped it off with scissors. Why would anyone cut a child's hair like this? Were they trying to hide his identity? His fingernails, however, were surprisingly clean, showing that someone had cared enough to wash them. This made the case even more strange. Why would someone clean the boy's body but also harm him so badly? There were also small cuts and injuries on his legs and arms, signs that he had suffered pain before his death. The box itself was studied carefully by detectives. It was an ordinary cardboard box used to carry a baby's bassinet, the kind sold by JCPenney stores. When the store was asked about it, they said the box could have been bought by anyone. No record, no names, no way to track who had taken it. Another dead end for the police. The scene gave almost no useful clues. No wallet. No toy. No paper. No label. Nothing to tell the police who this child was or where he had come from. Detectives and officers were left puzzled, standing in the cold, wondering. Who was this boy? Who had left him here in the woods like this? Why would anyone do something so cruel to a helpless child? No clear answers were found that day. But what they knew for sure was this: the boy had suffered. He had been abused, starved, and abandoned like garbage in a cardboard box. And no one, no family, no friend, no neighbor, had reported him missing. This discovery was only the beginning of a case that would confuse and sadden America for decades to come. After the small boy's body was found, it was taken to the medical examiner for a full autopsy, to find out exactly how he had died and what had happened to him before his death. The doctors who examined him were shocked by what they discovered. The boy weighed only 30 pounds, far too little for a child of his age. A healthy boy of 4 to 6 years should have weighed much more. This meant he was severely malnourished. He had not been given enough food for a very long time. His body was weak and thin, as if he had been slowly starving. His small body was also covered with bruises, dark marks on his chest, arms, and legs. These bruises were not from a single accident. They were signs of long-term abuse, injuries caused over time, showing that someone had been hurting him again and again. But there was something else strange. The skin on his hands and feet was wrinkled and pruned, just like what happens when fingers and toes are kept in water for a long time, like when you stay too long in a bathtub or pool. But there was no water found at the scene. What did this mean? Had the boy been kept in water before his death? Or had his body been washed carefully by someone after he died, to remove evidence? No one could answer these questions. The most terrible discovery was the cause of death. The doctors said the boy died from a powerful blow to the head, blunt force trauma. Someone had hit him hard, likely with an object or by throwing him against something. This strong injury was what finally killed him. The doctors also checked for signs of sexual abuse, but they found no evidence of that. Still, every other sign told the sad story of suffering. This child had been treated terribly for a long time. He was starved, beaten, injured, and in the end murdered. What made this tragedy even worse was that no one in the city, no family, no neighbors, no friends, ever said a child was missing. How could such a young boy suffer this much pain, this much hunger, this much fear, and no one notice? The doctors, police officers, and everyone who worked on this case felt deeply disturbed and heartbroken. This was not just another crime. This was the lonely, silent death of a forgotten child. And for years his name, his family, his life, all stayed a complete mystery. After the boy's body was found and the autopsy was completed, the police were left with more questions than answers. They searched for clues everywhere, but nothing useful came. Since no one claimed the boy and no family reported a child missing, police and the public started to create their own theories about what might have happened to this unknown child. One of the first theories was that the boy might have come from a nearby foster home. Maybe someone at that home had mistreated or killed him and then secretly got rid of the body. The police went to that foster home and checked all the children living there. But surprisingly, no child was missing. Everyone was accounted for. This theory led to nowhere. Another theory said that the boy could have been sold by his parents to another family, a family that didn't want him and treated him badly. This idea made sense to some investigators because back in the 1950s, there were rare cases where poor parents sold their children to strangers for money. Maybe this boy was one of those children, unloved, unwanted, and eventually killed. But again, no proof was ever found to support this. One strange and disturbing idea came up, that the boy was possibly raised as a girl. Some thought that maybe his parents wanted a daughter, so they raised him as a girl. And when the child grew older and it became harder to hide the truth, they decided to get rid of him. His badly cut hair, messy, uneven, made people wonder if someone had quickly tried to make him look like a boy again after raising him as a girl. But this theory also lacked any real evidence. It was only a guess, nothing more. Then came a shocking story in 2002, known as the Martha theory. A woman named Martha came forward and told the police that when she was a child, her own mother had bought a little boy, possibly the boy in the box, from his real parents. Martha claimed that her mother abused the boy terribly. She said her mother hit him, kept him locked up, and finally beat him to death in a violent rage. For a while, this sounded like it could be the truth. But when police checked her story, they could not find any proof. There were no witnesses, no documents, no records, nothing to prove what Martha was saying. Sadly, her story also led to a dead end. Another theory suggested that maybe the boy came from a wealthy family. Maybe his death was an accident, or maybe he had an illness or disability that the family felt ashamed of, and they chose to cover up his death to protect their name and reputation. But again, this was only an idea. No rich family ever came forward, and no missing boy from a wealthy home matched his description. Every theory, every rumor, every possible clue ended the same way, with no real answers. The police had no fingerprints to match. No missing person reports to connect. No confessions. No witnesses. It was as if this little boy had lived and died completely in secret, as if someone had worked hard to erase every trace of him from the world. For decades, the mystery stayed alive. The boy's face was printed on posters. His story was told in newspapers and on TV. But still no family, no friend, no neighbor came forward to say, "I know that boy." And that made this case one of the most heartbreaking unsolved crimes in American history. For many long years, the mystery of the boy in the box stayed cold. The police had tried everything. They had followed every clue, checked every lead, and investigated every theory. But nothing had worked. No one knew his name. No one knew where he came from. It was as if he had no past, as if he was a ghost child, forgotten by the world. Decades passed. New detectives came and went. Technology changed. But the boy's secret stayed locked in time. Until something amazing happened in 2022. For the first time, police used advanced DNA technology, something that did not exist back in 1957. These new tools could unlock secrets that were impossible to solve before. Scientists took tiny samples of the boy's DNA, carefully saved from his body, and used them to search through massive online DNA databases. These databases contain genetic information from thousands of people across the country. People who have done ancestry and family tree tests. Slowly, piece by piece, the mystery started to break. After months of hard work, the police finally discovered the boy's true identity. His name was Joseph Augustus Zarelli. Joseph had been born in 1953, only 4 years before he was killed. The discovery shocked the entire country. After more than 65 years, the boy in the box finally had a name. He was no longer a stranger. The police also found distant relatives of Joseph, people who were still alive. When they were told the truth, they were shocked and saddened. They had no idea that a member of their family had suffered such a terrible fate. But this discovery also raised new questions. Why did this happen to Joseph? Who was responsible for his death? Why was he never reported missing? Sadly, the police did not share these answers. They said they knew who Joseph's parents were, but both of them had already died. And they refused to tell the public why or how Joseph had ended up in that box in the woods. Maybe the truth was too painful. Maybe there were no living witnesses left to explain the story. Or maybe the police simply wanted to protect the family's privacy. Whatever the reason, even after this huge breakthrough, the most important question remained unsolved. Who killed Joseph Augustus Zarelli? And why? The DNA discovery gave Joseph his name back. It gave him an identity, a place in history, and a voice after so many silent years. But justice never came. The person or persons responsible for his death were never punished. And so, the tragic mystery of the boy in the box remained, even after 65 years of searching. Today, the small boy once known only as the boy in the box finally has a name, Joseph Augustus Zarelli. For more than 60 years, no one knew who he was. His grave, standing in Ivy Hill Cemetery in Philadelphia, had a simple stone that read, "America's Unknown Child." People from all over the country came to visit that grave. Strangers who had never known him left flowers, toys, and letters. They came to show that this forgotten boy was not forgotten anymore. But now, thanks to DNA technology, Joseph is no longer unknown. His name has been returned to him. He has an identity. He has a place in history. His tragic story changed many things. It opened people's eyes to the dark reality of child abuse and neglect. His case made people ask hard questions about families, about protection for children, and about the importance of reporting when a child is in danger. Because of this case, law enforcement learned the importance of saving DNA evidence, even when a crime seems impossible to solve. Scientists and detectives also realized that new technology could help solve old crimes, no matter how cold the trail might be. But sadly, the real truth of Joseph's short, painful life, why he was beaten, starved, and thrown away like garbage, is still unknown. His parents are gone. The answers they carried are lost forever. The police have not shared the full story. So the mystery remains. The world may never learn why this happened to Joseph. Yet his story has touched millions. His face, once seen only on old posters and black and white photos, became a symbol of every lost and voiceless child. Even today, people still visit his grave. They leave flowers. They leave toys. Some leave handwritten notes, telling him he is loved, that he matters, that he is remembered. Joseph Augustus Zarelli may have been left to die alone, but in the end, the world refused to forget him. Joseph Augustus Zarelli, for decades, the world knew him only as the boy in the box. A small child, with no name, no family, no story to tell. He was just a mystery, an unsolved case, a sad face in an old black and white photo. For more than 60 years, his grave read only these words, America's unknown child. But now, finally, the world knows his name. Joseph Augustus Zarelli. His name has given him back his identity, his place in history. He is no longer just a forgotten victim.
He was a real person.
A child who laughed, cried, and lived, even if his life was full of suffering. Even though his killer was never found. Even though no justice came. Joseph will not be forgotten. His story has taught people everywhere a powerful lesson. That every child matters. That every lost life has a story. That no one, not even a little boy in a box, should ever be ignored or erased from this world. Maybe, one day, the full truth will finally be known. Maybe someone, somewhere, holds the final secret of why Joseph was left to die, alone and unloved, in those cold woods. But until that day comes, his story will live on. In books. In documentaries. In the hearts of millions who now know his name. Joseph Augustus Zarelli, remembered forever.